Hey everybody, Mr. Andrews here. Again, apologies. I know we're going on a little bit later than normal. Try to go on between like 1 o'clock or so. But with the video I made earlier and the post I made on Google Hangouts, kind of let you guys know what's going on here at my house. So we had to push that back, unfortunately, and then just kind of had to wait for my wife to get off work so I can, you know, be away from the boys for a little bit. But we are live. If you join us now, hey Lena, or if you join us later, hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's staying safe. Hope you guys had a nice spring break, even though it probably doesn't really feel like one. Chris is here, by the way. Okay. Thank you for that, Lena. Again, hope everybody's doing well. And this seems like, well, we've been off for well over a month, I feel like, now. So the spring break may just kind of blend off into nothingness. Hello, all. So thank you guys for telling me who is here so I can mark you down for attendance. Have either of you picked up the new Blizzard bag stuff yet, or is that like this Friday? I'm not 100% sure. You picked them up Friday. Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. I don't know if either of you have access to Google Classroom, but I just posted on before we went live here that it's just a digital version. It's a PDF of the Blizzard bag. There's nothing you really need to do on Google Classroom. I'm not surprised. um, like I said, it's just a PDF of the stuff you'll be picking up on Friday. That's just like if you guys needed a backup for it. So there's nothing that you need to do in terms of what's posted on Google Classroom for the Blizzard bag. That's just so you guys have a backup copy, and that goes for everybody. So make sure you to tell anybody else that you talk to or anybody else that you see, cousins, sisters, whatever, like Elijah and Bree. Make sure they know if they need another copy. When am I going to school? What do you mean? Like going to the actual school? If it's back to Summit Academy, probably not gonna happen just because I'm at home with my boys a lot, and I'm not gonna pack them up into the van and potentially risk them being exposed to it. My wife is working a lot. She works at the hospital, so some of them have, yes. That's often because either a lot of them have older children where they can maybe leave them at home and not necessarily worry about them, or with mine being so young, it's kind of hard to take them all into school. Again, with my wife working at the hospital, she works some crazy hours. She's been working a lot over the last few weeks, so it just makes things difficult. But I'm able to do just about everything I have, I'm able to do pretty much everything here at my house that I have in regards to like my Chromebook and computer and other materials and stuff. Oh, you got a surprise on my whiteboard. When were you there last? You guys went to the school today. Did you guys pick up the lunch? Are Wednesdays the day you guys pick up lunches? You guys were there for an hour. That's good. I know we all say it. You guys played hide and seek. It's something, yes, that 7th and 8th graders should always do is play hide and go seek. But yeah, I do wish we were back. I know the date we are kind of waiting for is May 1st to kind of see what the news is from there. But if I had to guess, I would say that we are probably not going back to school for this school year, which kind of sucks, unfortunately. We miss you guys. We want to be able to go back, but safety is the big thing. So you don't want to have all these people in close proximity. potentially becoming exposed to something like that, with what's going on. I got Miss. Yeah, I have no idea what the renegade means or is, so you might have to go into detail about what this renegade thing is. I'm guessing a dance. um, so, did either of you have a question, or I think I may have talked. You may have told me about this a few weeks back, but about like the first Blizzard bag packet. Did either of you have any questions over that, or did you both get it finished? Because I know a lot of students were kind of wrapping that up prior to. Okay. You look like you have pimples. Could just be the light. I don't know, dear. Could be all the stress. You think I'd be stress-free away from you guys, but then I have my own kids to worry about. Okay. So, during this stream, during this time right now, that's a lot of emojis. During this stream, don't have a whole lot of work in terms of what we can go over since we're kind of waiting on you guys to start the next round of Blizzard bags. But I want to make sure, did either of you have a chance to check out the article that was posted on Google Classroom? I can double check to see if you guys have completed it. This was a Scholastic article about the census. From a couple weeks ago. Looks like Tristan from your class, Lena, turned it in. Like, at least on Google Classroom, I could see a little else if you give me a second. Yeah, so that would be something we can go over today. If you guys watching on your phone or are you watching on a computer or tablet? Yeah, that is a lot of emojis, Miss Lena. Because if you're on a computer, we should be able to get to the article if we wanted to do that, because that is one kind of additional thing that I have assigned. There was the first Blizzard bag packet that you guys picked up way back when this all kind of started. And then a few weeks ago, like I said, I posted an article that kind of tied in a little bit to the Blizzard bag content in terms of what you guys were learning about with like the different branches of government, what the branches are responsible for. And this article looks at one of those things that our government is required to do by the Constitution, by the rules that our country was kind of created on. So if we wanted to do that, we can take a look at the article. I can read it for you too. And then there's a 10 question mini quiz. It's all multiple choice, nothing that you need to type out or write, that we can kind of work with on one another, or we can work on the assignment with each other. Elena, I hope that's not referring to me, because that's just creepy. You guys, did you two say you're sitting beside each other or just in different rooms? Oh, right next to me. That's okay. Sorry, I had to scroll back up. So, like I said, if you two are on a computer, Chromebook, or whatever, head to Google Classroom if you can. Right? You should still be able to access Google Classroom. So let me know when both of you are on there, and I can take. If one of you just wants to sign in, you two can work um, on the 10-question quiz together. So let's go ahead and do that because we're not just gonna have an hour of goofing around or anything like that. It's not that long of an article, and again, it's 10 easy questions, all multiple choice. So head to Google Classroom. So just let me know whenever you guys are there. Later refuses. Well, I mean, that part is for a grade. I mean, it is all going to be kind of put together. So it's on her. So, but if Chris, you want to follow along, we can go ahead. Like I said, it's posted on Google Classroom. You may need to scroll down a little bit to kind of see where this is at, but it should be kind of close to the top of the stream. Like the second or third thing. The very top thing should be about the newest Blizzard bag that you guys will pick up on Friday. Then it should be another post, like a message or something about some of the issues around the submission of this work. Then you should see the assignment, the Junior Scholastic Census article. That's fine if you guys can do it together. Like I said, one submission will work, and I'll just put the grade down for both of you since you two are sitting right next to each other. Like I said, this is on Google Classroom. And we've done articles on this before. It's just Junior Scholastic. There's also a PDF of the article, but if you want to read it from the website, it's just going to ask you to sign in with Google Classroom, so make sure you do that. It may take a second, and just make sure the Google account that you're using is your school one on the computer that you're using, or Chromebook, tablet, whatever you're using. So it should work regardless. So mine's taking a little second to load here. But like I said, I can read along with you, and then we'll look at the questions together. Obviously, I can't give you the answers to the questions, but we can read them together, talk about them. Forgot the last part of what. Of your email or password. Oh my god, why is this doing this? So if you forget it, let me know so I can try to help you figure it out. Because we do have a spreadsheet of you guys' sign in stuff. I try to find where it is. Where's this at? Okay, with what part are you having trouble with? The email, your email address and password. So I'm looking for to make sure I have it for you. Okay, must be in an email. So give me a second. Okay, let me double check something here. I think it should be in our email. Just gotta pull it up. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat here for you. That way you should be able to just copy and paste it. Just give me a second. All right, so there's your username and your password. Type it in now. Okay, so try signing in with that stuff, and you should be able to hopefully access it. Let me know if that does or does not work. Okay, that way we can keep trying to move on. Are you two staying busy, finding things to occupy your mind? Or have you guys just been on your phones this entire month off of school? Or going actually to the school? I mean, it worked. Okay. All right, then just go ahead and get into Google Classroom. And we'll bring up the article. Again, you'll have to sign with Google Classroom once you click the article and stuff like that. And this is stuff we've done in the classroom, so it should be familiar to you. Just give me a heads up when you're ready. Then I'll start reading the article, and we'll. I'll start reading the article, and we can look at the questions together. Okay. Page three. Okay, we were ready. Sorry, I was grading some of the other ones that have been submitted. My bad, yo. All right. So hopefully you guys have the article up again. So it's the big yellow one with the outline of America. It looks like people in red, white, and blue. So very patriotic. Again, this article is not too long. It's broken up into three sections. After a short introduction, then 10 questions that are on the Google Forms sheet. Again, we've done a couple Google Forms things. This one, like I said before, it's all multiple choice, so nothing you need to stress out about typing or writing or anything like that. And if you're paying attention, a lot of the answers should be kind of front and center, be kind of obvious, because a lot of the answers are making sure you're just paying attention. So I'll go ahead and start reading. So why everyone's talking about the census. So the government is preparing to take its once a decade count of every person in the United States. Here's what you should know. So this was published a few weeks ago, towards the end of March, and some of the things we're going to talk about maybe you've seen on the census if your mom, dad, grandma, whoever that you live with got this in the mail. So the United States is counting on Americans to count themselves. April 1st marks the official start of the 2020 U.S. Census, a nationwide tally of every person living in the country. The federal government conducts a census every 10 years, something that's required by the Constitution. As part of this national headcount, U.S. residents answer a short questionnaire about themselves and their households. Their collective responses provide the government with important data about the country's population. The results help determine everything from how to distribute tax dollars to where to build new schools and public parks. By law, the United States Census Bureau uses data collected from the census for statistical purposes only, keeps people's individual responses private. So, how is the census conducted? What kinds of questions are in it? And how will the information the government gathers affect your life? Here's what you need to know. So, like I said, if you have paid attention to what's been coming in the mail the last few weeks or so, maybe, whoever you live with has gotten this. Hopefully they have by now, with it being April 15th. So this started 2 weeks ago. It came in like a blue piece of paper, if I remember correctly. So who gets counted in a census and how? So the census aims to tally every living person in the country, including citizens, non-citizens who are who are here legally, and undocumented immigrants. Deployed military members, people in prison, and homeless people are also counted. Earlier this year, the Census Bureau mailed a notice to every known household in the nation detailing how to participate. Most people are encouraged to respond to the questions by mail, by phone, or new this year, via the internet, which just means by the internet. So to ensure that every person is counted, the Bureau plans to hire about 500,000 workers to go door to door starting next month to collect answers from people who haven't responded. So if people are busy with doing other things, and obviously with the world being how it is right now, people are obviously busy and stressing out about other things. So maybe something like the census isn't on the forefront of their mind. But what's really cool this year about this one is that you can do it on your phone. And this is how my wife completed our census a couple days after we got the thing in the mail for it. It's the first time that, like the article said, that you can do it on your phone. Before that, it was strictly either just by the mail or by phone. So the last one was done in 2010, and the one before that was done in the year 2000. So a lot has changed. And you can see that kind of pictured here in this image with the census worker in the green uniform with the hat and t-shirt there. So what questions are being included? Number two. And if either of you two have a question, just put it in the chat. Let me know and we'll stop and talk about it. The census asks respondents, meaning people who are filling this out, about their age, sex, race, and more. Everyone in each household must answer the questions, or someone else, such as a parent or spouse, must answer them. Respondents will not be asked whether they are U.S. citizens. President Donald Trump's administration tried to have that question added, but the Supreme Court blocked it, saying it could discourage participation among undocumented immigrants who may fear deportation. What's cool about this article, you guys again should be kind of familiar with this, is that some of the words you could see are kind of in blue, and those are kind of the key words or terms that kind of maybe we don't know or aren't familiar with. So if you click on them, it brings up a little text box or a definition there for you. And what the second paragraph of this section does for us is give us a nice example of this idea of checks and balances. Now, this may have been something that was just briefly touched upon a little bit in the last packet, but we weren't able to go into detail with it a whole lot. So that's going to be the start of the next packet, is looking at this idea of checks and balances. So what exactly does that mean? How does our government work? How is it that whoever is the president can't just really do whatever they want? They are still limited by the other parts of the government, by the other two branches, and that's what we're going to hopefully dissect and learn a little bit more about with the start of this new packet. Another thing I like here is this little infographic, this little diagram here. So some big key points, what's new about the 2020 census. People can answer questions online for the first time. It's going to count, so it will count same-sex couples, married and unmarried. Excuse me. And the survey is now offered in 13 languages, including Arabic. So, fun fact, if you weren't aware, the United States does not have any official language. A lot of people just would assume or think that it's English, but that's not the case. Yeah, there is no official language because there's a large population of people in the country that speak Spanish, that speak Arabic, that speak other languages, because we're not all just kind of one people or look the same way or talk the same way. So they got to make it available to as many people as possible. Okay. So number 3 here. So why does the census matter? This is kind of the big part of this article. So census data helps the government determine how to distribute or kind of share and spread out about $675 billion a year in federal funds. That money is used for everything from repairing highways to building schools. Businesses also use the data. For example, a clothing company might analyze census statistics to decide where to open new stores. So possibly maybe, a new clothing store, once all this stuff is finished, we're able to actually go out and socialize and not have to follow the social distancing guidelines and stuff like that. But imagine the future or the old world where if you got a new business, new clothing company, you want to figure out, okay, what's the age range of the population that live in this certain area? Is it a younger population that's more concerned about fashion, how they look and stuff like that? This might be a good place to open a store like this, or maybe it's a aging population that's not necessarily concerned with the latest fashion trends, so they're not going to open the store in that neighborhood. They're going to look elsewhere. So back to the article here, we're looking at the second paragraph. Census results also determine how many seats each state get in the U.S. House of Representatives. And if you remember back to the first Blizzard Bag packet, when we were looking at the legislative branch, that's made up of 2 parts. You got the House of Representatives and the Senate. So House seats are based on each state's share of the nation's population. So because the total number of House seats, so the number of representatives stays at 435, that doesn't change. Some states may gain or lose seats after each census. So every 10 years, it's possible that states will lose the number of representatives that they have in Congress, or that they will gain seats in the number of in the House of Representatives. Okay, so that in turn affects presidential elections. So unlike other cases where a popular vote determines who wins a election, that's not how a president is chosen in the United States. Okay, it is done by the Electoral College. Okay. And if we had more time to kind of get into this, more specifically eighth grade, this would be a nice discussion topic or debate that we could have. So that in turn affects presidential elections, as each state is allotted votes in the Electoral College based on the number of seats it has in Congress. However, this 2020 census won't affect November's presidential election because officials won't begin releasing the data until December. So it's not going to affect this presidential election in 2020. It will ultimately affect the next. Oh, sorry. Had a yawn come up from nowhere. It will affect the next presidential election in 2024. Okay. So that is the article. Okay, so that's the article. Now I'm going to say keep this article up because you can refer back to it as you complete the 10 question quiz. Okay, that if you don't already have it ready, it's on Google Classroom as well. It's part of that same assignment. It's the thing with the purple little icon underneath. So there's the article there, then there's the Google Forms, know the news. So go ahead and bring that up. One of you is fine. Like I said, you can do this together. It is going to ask for your email address. So make sure you put your email address into that box there. That way I can see the scores and I can send them back to you. So it's just your regular school email address. It could be the one I put here in the chat for you, Chris. So give me a heads up when you have that 10 question quiz up, and we can look over the questions, talk about them, and then we'll call it a day for this. I appreciate the two of you kind of hanging out or staying on this thing. I know it's not always the most exciting when it's just a couple people in the chat, but we do what we can. Okay, you're on the quiz. Cool. Okay, so like I said, it's all multiple choice, nothing that you need to type out or anything. So number one here is looking at what is the central idea of this article. Again, the big picture. Is it A, officials will begin releasing data from the 2020 census in December? B, this year's census is offered in 13 languages. 500,000 workers this year. Or D, the census responses give the government important data about the U.S. population. So remember, when we think about the central idea or the big picture, we're looking at really the big idea, kind of the whole thing. We're looking at specific details. And like 3 out of these 4 options, like very specific details. So which ones can we kind of eliminate or get rid of here? So yeah, D would be the obvious one here. So yeah, that's the big idea here. Good job. All right, number 2, which statement about the census is true? Again, this might be one of the ones where you are needed to go back to the article, double check. If not, if you just know it, you can go ahead and answer. So which statement about the census is true? That the results determine how many seats each state gets in the U.S. Senate. B, it does not count U.S. military members deployed overseas. C, it asks respondents questions about their age, sex, and race. Or D, can only be completed over the phone. So again, 3 out of 4 of these are completely false or untrue. So saying A is correct. Are you saying that A is true? Because I would say double check. And look at the specifics. It does determine the seats, but is it the Senate or is it the House of Representatives? So double check there. So you're maybe double checking I'll give you a second before we move on to number three. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move on to number three. If you have a question or need anything, just put in the chat. Let me know. So number three, when does the 2020 census officially begin? March 23rd, April 1st, November 3rd, or December 1st? So when does the census officially begin? So let's see. Correct for number two, yeah. And some of the wording there, it looks like they're trying to trick you, or just maybe pull a fast one. So good thing we went back and looked at it. So if we look at three, then this kind of says it early on in the article. So when does the 2020 census officially begin? April 1st. Yep, nice job. Okay. All right, number four, the blank. Okay, so something requires the federal government to conduct a conduct a census every 10 years. Is this the Constitution, the Electoral College, the House of Representatives, or the President? So, what actual thing gives or requires makes the federal government conduct a census every 10 years? This is stated directly in the article. So, what requires the federal government to conduct a census every 10 years? Is it the Constitution, the Electoral College, the House of Representatives, or the President? And this can be found in the article, if you're second paragraph of the article. Constitution, yeah. Nice job. Again, that's the rule book for the United States. Those are the laws, the rules that the country and the people in the government are supposed to follow. Whether that always happens or not, again, that's another thing entirely. All right, so about halfway done. Let's go ahead and look at number five. So the census data helps government determine how to distribute about how much in federal funds a year. Is it 135 billion, 350 billion, 435 billion, 675 billion? Yeah, when they put a lot of numbers in here, it's kind of tricky. So make sure you look carefully because it does state in this, it does state in the article. And this is found in section three, number three. Why does the census matter? So check there. 135 billion, 350 billion, 435 billion, or 675 billion. 675 billion. Yeah. Yeah, I know sometimes, especially with math, when like math tests and stuff, and they throw a whole bunch of numbers at you, it just makes it more confusing. All right, number six. So, according to the article, the census aims to count all of the following people except A, people in prison, B, homeless people, C, immigrants who live in the United States, or D, travelers visiting the U.S. from other countries. Now, all three of these are true, and one, again, does not apply here. And again, just refer back to the article. So, which of the following people, or it does count all the following except, so which one does the census not count? People in prison, homeless people, immigrants who live in the United States, or travelers who are visiting the US from other countries? D, correct. Yeah. So, travelers visiting the United States, those are the people that are not counted in this. All right. So, trying to determine fact and opinion, that's seven here. This is kind of always tricky. So again, make sure we're kind of reading the options here closely and just using process of elimination to rule out, which ones don't necessarily apply. So seven, which of these statements is an opinion? A, the Census Bureau keeps people's individual responses private. And is that true? Is that a fact or is that an opinion? This year, people can answer the census questions online for the first time. Fact or opinion? C, helping the government determine how to distribute federal funds is the most important reason to respond. Or D, each state is allotted electoral college votes based on the number of seats it has in Congress. And maybe look for some of the keywords. This is something you have worked on with Miss Miller, Miss Miller, and Mr. Murray. I'm trying to determine, when a author they're trying to state something that's factual. Think of the words that are being used by people. If somebody's trying to say, something is, the best thing ever, it's the most exciting, that's often going to be an opinion of somebody. I think this movie is the best thing ever, or it's the most important thing that we can do right now. Those are often kind of clues or helpful hints to kind of determine what's an opinion and what's fact. So we're saying C is an opinion. Yeah. Yeah, the kind of keyword there is like saying that helping the government determine how to distribute the federal funds is the most important reason to respond. The most important. That is just somebody's opinion. Okay, I've got three more left. Nice job. Doing really good so far. So the photo at the bottom of page 11 best supports which detail from the article. And the photo they're talking about is the one of the lady in green. Okay. The one from 2010, the green hat and the green shirt. So which detail does the picture support? The U.S. Census Bureau uses data collected from the census for statistical purposes only. The Bureau plans to hire about 500,000 workers to go door to door starting next month. C, respondents will not be asked whether they are U.S. citizens. Or D, businesses also use the data. So which detail does that picture help? Yeah. So which detail does that picture help? Think of what is the picture showing us? Is the picture showing us data collected? Is the picture showing us a possible worker or how 500 workers could maybe help out? Is it Is the picture kind of showing us how people are being asked whether they're U.S. citizens or not, or is the picture showing us anything like in terms of businesses, how they can use the data? Think, what is the focus of that picture about the lady in the green hat and the green shirt? What else is done here? Think A. Okay, let me double check. The U.S. Census Bureau uses the data collected. Not A. It's a good guess though, because it may be a little hard because we don't see necessarily what this census is really looking at, like the questions and things like that. But who's at the forefront of this picture? And maybe read the caption if you can. What does the caption say about the picture? That might help clue us in a little bit. And so the text underneath the picture says, a census worker interviews a family in Florida during the 2010 census. Okay, so the lady in green is a census worker. Okay, so which detail would that picture help support? Okay, so I told you it's not A, so we can rule out A. So that's going to narrow it down to 3. So the Bureau plans to hire about 500,000 workers to go door to door starting next month. Respondents will not be asked whether they are U.S. citizens. Or D, businesses also use the data. So think about what the picture might have in common with one of those answers. Is the picture showing us a worker? What answer does that best kind of help? Or what answer does that connect with the best? Okay. And in the picture, we have a census worker, okay, helping a family. So then we're left to pick between B, C, and D. Well, B is talking about, yeah, it is B because that's what the two have in common. The picture is showing a worker from the last one, and B is talking about how the plan, again, originally was to hire about 500,000 workers. So yeah, it is B. Again, that one's a little tricky. And I wonder how much that has actually changed given, again, the state of the world. Um, if that many people are going to be asked to work, and you don't want contact or, interacting or kind of interactions between people. So it's interesting to see if it's going to be 4 people still. All right, so then let's go ahead and look at number 9. Just 2 more, and we'll try to get these done quickly so we can get you 2 off of here, hopefully before 6, because I don't want to keep you guys from like dinner or something if you haven't eaten yet. Okay, so let's look at number 9. So according to the article, the Supreme Court A uses census data to determine whether states gain or lose seats in the House of Representatives. B blocked the Trump administration from adding a citizenship question to the census. C ruled that the census had to count married and unmarried couples of the same sex. Or D decides where companies should open stores. Again, this one is were you talking? Sorry, I just now saw your post there, Chris. Were you talking about this current one, number 9, or is this about number 8, where you say this one is confusing? Number 8. It was, yeah, but again, we're looking for the connection that the picture and one of the responses had, and you found it by identifying. Well, B's talking about workers, and yeah, the picture is of a worker, so that's the connection. That picture helps kind of support the idea that the government is going to hire. Sorry, I'm trying to get more light in here with the window. It's going to hire more workers to help with the census. Okay. So I'm sorry that one was a little confusing. It's probably one of the toughest ones. That 9 is a little tricky as well, but I'll kind of point you in the right direction of where we could find this. Okay, so number 9 is asking, according to the article, the Supreme Court blank. Okay, so the Supreme Court did something, and the article kind of points this out, and they talk about it under number 2. What questions are included? So what does the Supreme Court do? Okay, in this article, do they use the census data to determine whether states gain or lose seats in the House of Representatives? Did they block the Trump administration from adding a citizenship question to the census? Did they rule that the census had to count married and unmarried couples of the same sex? Or D, did they decide where companies should open stores? Yeah, they blocked the Trump administration. Mm-hmm. And that's a really cool example of checks and balances. And it's, again, this kind of big concept that's the foundation of our government. Again, we'll kind of go more into detail with that next week when you guys get your next round of Blizzard Bag stuff. All right, 2 questions. Or sorry, no, number 10. One more. What am I talking about? One more. All right, which detail would be least important to include in a summary of the article? And least important, which means that it would not necessarily be necessary. So, A, the goal of the census is to count every person living in the United States. Well, that obviously seems like the main goal of the census. It's kind of the point of it. Okay. B, the U.S. presidential election will take place in November. Okay, that really doesn't connect at all to the census. That's talking about the presidential election. C, people can answer census questions online. Okay, that's something that people can do. So that talks about the census. Or D, the census involves a short questionnaire about U.S. residents and their households. So to me, at least, it looks like 3 of these connect very well or talk about the census or some aspect of the census. Which one of these, options doesn't connect or talk about the census at all? B, and you're correct. Yeah, nice job. Look at that. We finished at 5:59 with like a minute left. So, nice job, you two. Hopefully, you two are working together. Obviously, I can't tell that, but I'm gonna assume, even though it's maybe not always the best thing to do. Yeah, again, like I said, it's pretty obvious. Um, but Lena and Chris, I do appreciate you two kind of hanging out with me for this past hour. I know it's not the most exciting thing. You probably want to be doing more um, engaging, more fun things with friends or whatever you two are doing to keep yourselves busy at home. But I appreciate it. And tomorrow is the 7th grade time, Lena. If you want to, it's probably going to look similar to what we just did today. Since students don't have the next round of Blizzard Bag stuff, it's probably going to be more of just kind of talking, hanging out, going over work in case people still have questions about it. But I can't thank you two enough for staying on and kind of working together and helping each other out. If you haven't already, make sure you can try to complete the forms too. That way you can get them like official and stuff like that. But it's nice to see you guys kind of put in the work there in the chat. So I thank you. Did either of you have any other questions, comments, or things staying till Friday? Cool. Either of you have anything you want to talk about or a question before I get going here? I said psych. Okay, well, I'm only slightly hurt then, apparently, Lena. No. All right then. Well, like I said, if you want to watch tomorrow, Lena, I'll try to be on at the normal time, about 1 o'clock or so. I should be able to get to that since my wife is off tomorrow. Um, but you two, again, thank you. I do miss you guys. I wish we were back at school. This is weird and different and strange for everybody. We're just trying to make the best of it. Please try to stay safe. Take this thing seriously. I know it doesn't seem like by you guys being asked to stay home, you're doing a whole lot, but again, that's kind of the point. Um, is that we just don't want to make this any worse than it is because it could be really, really bad. Think about what it's like in New York, and I know there are cases here in Ohio. There's deaths, obviously, in Ohio, and unfortunately, but things could be a lot worse. And our state did a nice job to kind of act quickly and kind of before things got really bad, or as the saying goes, they got stuff ready before the crap hit the fan. But I'm gonna shut up now. I'm gonna get going so you two can have some more time to hang out, be silly. But I'll see you guys tomorrow, maybe, or sometime later this week. Bye, guys.